Welcome to Jerusalem. Shalom. I can tell you're not from around here by the funny way you dress. What brings you to Jerusalem? Ah, you're looking for Jesus. Well, so am I. Come on, let's go. Maybe we can find him together.
Shalom, shalom. I couldn't help but overhear you're looking for Jesus.
Yes.
Me too. Yes. It seems like I've been looking for Jesus pretty much my whole life. Have you got time for a little story?
Yeah, I have time.
It's about Jesus and me and my search for him. You see, it really begins a long time ago now. Yeah, it was in Bethlehem that I heard this story from shepherds that an angel had come and talked to them, told them about a virgin birth. Strange stories, but then again, shepherds come up with a lot of strange stories, but it just so happened that this story was about the birth of Jesus. It wasn't too long after I was in Jerusalem. The city was astir. These magi had come from the east. Nice camels. Yeah. But not like these guys here. Now, where was I in the story? Oh, yes, the magi. Stirred the city to no end with this talk of a king of the Jews being born. Yeah. And they said that they were looking for him, and it would be in Jerusalem, in Bethlehem, that's where it was. The same place where I'd heard the stories of this amazing birth. Anyways, they wandered on off, and I thought about it, and I said, I said to myself, tomorrow I'm going to close up shop early, and I'm going to follow those guys and see what they discover. I did just that and went down the next day and poof, they were gone. Just like that. Them and their camels. And a family of a carpenter was missing too. Yeah. It was a long time before I heard of this Jesus again. Jesus that the shepherds had talked about. Decades passed. But that stuff stuck in me like a stone in my shoe. Yeah, like a piece of a puzzle with no picture to go by. Just couldn't get it out of my head. Anyways, then this Jesus guy shows up on the scene, doing miracles. And I wondered, could it be the same one? So I hear he's up in Galilee. I go up there. What? He's down at the Jordan with John the Baptist. You probably heard about John, didn't you? Yeah. Poor guy lost his head. Yeah. Anyways, I go down to the Jordan, and Jesus has gone to Jerusalem. But everywhere I went, I heard the stories of the lame that could walk again, the blind that could see. And just recently, the craziest story of all. I met this guy named Lazarus. Said Jesus raised him from the dead. 4 days he'd been in the grave. And the rabbis say that only the true Messiah can raise someone after 4 days. Anyways, that's my story of hunting and drown Jesus. Still haven't found him. They say he's supposed to be around the city, and he shows up in the synagogue, but never when I'm there. Somebody's got to look after the shop after all. But if you do see him, tell him I'm here, would you? I'd love to meet the guy, after all I've heard.
Well, I haven't seen him yet, but I'm hoping to, and so are my friends. If I find him, I'll let you know.
That'd be great. Tell him to come by my shop. I got really nice pomegranates this time of year.
Well, I will. Thank you. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Jesus. I too have heard of his many miracles. Some even say he's the Messiah, the one sent from God. Can you imagine? I wonder if we'll be able to find him. Come on, let us see if we can. Consider it a tour of our fine town. Look, there's a man over there. Let us ask him. Excuse me. Shalom. We are all looking for the man named Jesus. Have you seen him?
Oh, yes, the blessed one. I saw him. He came into town riding on a donkey, a young donkey. I thought everyone saw him. Weren't you there?
No.
Yeah, he came into town riding on a donkey. And there was this great big, hoopla. Everyone was singing and shouting, and people were shouting, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. It was a huge deal. Look at all those palm leaves over there. Well, I mean, a lot of them have blown away or been taken home as souvenirs by now, but everyone was laying them down as he came in on the donkey. It was amazing. Anyway, if you're still looking for him, you should try the temple. You know, a guy like that's probably up there preaching or teaching or something like that.
Thank you.
Hey, shalom.
We will try there. Shalom. Excuse me.
We're looking for the man named Jesus. Have you seen him?
Have I seen him? He was in the temple last Sunday, and he came in all angry for no reason. I had a good business there, okay? Maybe I charged a little bit more than I should have, but, you know, they were the ones who were coming in for forgiveness and purification or whatever, not me. So why shouldn't I make a little bit more where I could? He came in, and he was angry and all over the place. He started flipping over the money changers' tables, and there were coins rolling all over the place. Which is whatever, they're them. But then he flipped over my product. He flipped over the tables with all the doves. That's my stock, all right? That's not okay. He kept saying something about, is it not written that my house shall be a place of prayer for all nations, but you have made it a den of robbers? What does that even mean? And then he chased us all out. We were there first! But he did speak with so much authority, we all just kind of listened. Between you and me, I think he was mad.
Well, thanks. But we'll keep looking and find out for ourselves. Shalom.
Pardon me.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't help but overhear your conversation with that thief. I suppose everyone is entitled to their own opinion, no matter how warped it is. But I can assure you, Jesus is not a madman. I've heard him speak with the crowds, and all I've heard was love and direction on how to live. And he's not afraid of those Pharisees either. In fact, he tells them what he thinks of them. His ideas and beliefs, they may be revolutionary, but not mad. But the thief is right about one thing, though. Jesus does speak with authority. And we were amazed at his knowledge. It's as if he doesn't just believe what he says, but he knows it to be true. Some say he's the Messiah. I think they're right.
Do you know where we can find him then?
Well, I did hear that he and some of his followers may be staying in one of the upper rooms here in town.
Upper room. I think I know the place he might be. Shalom.
Shalom.
Yes, can I help you?
Yes, we're looking for Jesus and we thought he might be here.
Come on in, we can talk as I clean. Jesus. Yes, he was here all right. It was just a couple of nights ago. In fact, I'm just getting around to cleaning up after them. He was with about 12 other men. They had supper, and then they went up to the Garden of Gethsemane. I understand they were going to pray. I do not know what they did after that. All I know is that they have not been back here since.
Well, thank you for your time. I guess we'll look in the garden. Maybe someone there has seen them. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. We're looking for
Oh, shalom.
Jesus.
Shalom.
Have you seen him?
No, but he was here.
How do you know?
Someone told me. Someone told me that he had been in the garden and he was betrayed by one of his own men, by a kiss no less. A kiss. And then just before he was arrested, one of his friends took a sword out and whack, lopped off the ear of the servant. And there was blood everywhere, and the guy was just in such pain, and Jesus said, "Put the sword away." And he put the sword away, and Jesus touched his ear. I couldn't believe it. Touched his ear. When I heard this story, he healed him. He healed him. But also, one of the stories is that there was a big rock over there somewhere, and there was blood all over it. He was so distressed, evidently, that he sweat drops of blood. That is the craziest story I've ever heard. But you know what? There's a lot of crazy things that have been going on with him around. Like people have been getting healed, and water into wine, and it doesn't surprise me when I hear stories like that. So, yeah, he was here, okay.
Well,
All right.
thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Shalom.
Shalom.
Come on, let's go to Governor Pilate's court. Perhaps they've let him go already? Shalom.
Shalom.
Is this the way to Pilate's court? We're looking for Jesus.
Yes. This is the way to Governor Pilate's court.
Yes?
However, there's not much point in going there for Jesus. You see, he's already been tried. You can trust me on that one because I was there. Pilate did attempt to get out of trying Jesus. He even sent Jesus to Herod, which says a lot since they're not exactly friends. But Herod just sent him right back. Didn't know what to do with the guy. Then, Pilate had Jesus scourged just to appease the people, hoping that this would satisfy them. When they were done with Jesus, he was blood from head to toe. He could barely stand on his own, let alone walk. It was too much for me. I couldn't take it. I had to leave, but as I was leaving the door, all I could hear was the crowd, and they were crying, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" as if the man had not been through enough already. But with all that was going on, I think Pilate knew Jesus was innocent. At least I hope he did.
Do you think they did?
Do I think they... Did they crucify Jesus? I don't know. I hope not. The only sure way to know, if you really want to know, would be to go to Golgotha. Your call.
I don't know if I want to know that bad.
Don't blame you.
Come on. Let's go. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Are you alright?
Shalom. That word has lost its meaning here. But I can't seem to leave this place. This is where it all happened. My name is Simon. I'm from Cyrene. I was here with my two sons, Rufus and Alexander. We were here for the Passover feast, and it was to be a great day. So exciting. But instead we happened upon the crucifixion procession, and this man fell in front of us. And there's people yelling at him and spitting on him, and something about a crucifixion. Then this Roman soldier, he comes up and he says, "You, carry his cross. I wanted nothing to do with it. But then he put his hand on the sword, and I had to. I had my sons to think about. And walking back from the crucifixion, I asked people, what had this man done? What had he done that was so evil to deserve death on a cross? He said he had done nothing wrong. Nothing. I'm guilty of putting a man on that cross. Heaven help us all. Heaven help us all.
What? The money isn't good enough for you?
It's not that. What if our commander hears the story that the high priest wants to tell everyone? That if we were sleeping at post and his followers took his body, sleeping at post, we would both be rung through.
Listen. The high priest, he promised us that the commander wouldn't punish us.
And you believe the high priest? All I know is that we killed an innocent man for them.
We were following orders!
I saw the boulder roll away itself. I wasn't asleep.
Stick to the story.
Yeah. Look, I told you Friday, and I'll say it again. Surely this man was the Son of God.
You there! Keep moving along! Down the road, keep moving!
What are you looking at? You're not a Roman sympathizer, are you? Because if you are, you can keep on walking.
No.
Good. Because I got no use for the lot of them. My name is Barabbas. Perhaps you've heard of me. I've been responsible for many uprisings against Rome. The last one got nasty, though. And I was thrown into prison for insurrection against Rome and for murder. I was awaiting my execution, sleeping on the floor of my filthy jail cell, when this big Roman jailer comes in and kicks me in my side. Hey, Barabbas, he says, you're released. I wasn't going to argue. I was free. Free for another chance to overthrow the Romans in Jerusalem. Speaking of Romans, how many guards were back that way?
Just 2.
Good. You see, there's a custom where each year during the Passover feast, Governor Pilate can release one prisoner to the people. Well, this year it was me. I was the lucky one. But you see, Pilate was trying to release another man. His name was Jesus. What did Jesus do, you ask? He claimed to be the Son of God. There's no law against that. So Pilate wanted to set Jesus free, but the people wanted Jesus dead, and the people got their way. They crucified Jesus on my cross. Yeah, that was my cross. I deserve to be there. How I can't stop thinking about this Jesus who suffered and died in my place. Was he really who he said he was? Was he really the Son of God? But surely if he was, he could have taken himself down off of that cross. But then a few days later, some of his followers approached me. Hey, Barabbas, they said, you know that Jesus suffered and died in your place on purpose? To pay your sin penalty to his Father in heaven. Not just mine, they said, but for yours as well. So now you have something to think about. Now keep on walking. Don't tell anyone you saw me here.
His tomb is up that way. Let's keep going.
Why are you looking for Jesus among the dead? He's alive.
I don't understand. Is he dead or is he alive?
Jesus came to the earth to live a sinless life, to suffer and die, to take on the sins of the whole world. God's promise is true. He loves the world and he does not want anyone to perish. Keep looking. If you are faithful in your search, he will reveal himself to you, and you will be glad you tried. Now go on, for your journey is far from over.
He's alive! He's alive! He's alive! I am sorry. My name is Thomas. I was one of his disciples, Jesus' disciples. I saw him die on the cross. On that cross over there. But then, some of my friends, other disciples came and said they had seen him and that he was alive. I didn't believe it. I could not believe it. I saw him dead. I told them that unless I can put my finger in the nail holes in his hands, and unless I can put my hand in his side, I will not believe. But then, some days later, I was with my friends again, and even though we were behind locked doors, Jesus stood among us. And he just said, "Peace be with you." And he looked at me. He actually turned to me. And he said, "Thomas, put your finger in the nail holes in my hands. Put your hand in my side. Stop doubting and believe." I fell to my knees and I cried out, "My Lord and my God!" He came closer. He lifted me from my knees. He looked at me with so much love and grace and compassion and forgiveness. I'd never seen such a thing before. And he told me, he said, "Thomas, you believe because you had seen me. But blessed are all those who have not seen, and yet they believed." He's alive. Do you understand what it means? I must tell everyone. Hey there! He's alive! He's alive! Hey, he's alive!
Shalom. My name is Nicodemus. I've often been asked whether I know anything about Jesus being risen from the dead. And I want to tell you today that most assuredly I do. But before that, I want to tell you about my initial encounter with him. You see, it was late one evening. After hearing about how many people were responding to his miracles and strange teachings, I intentionally sought him out for the purpose of understanding what all of the commotion was about. I had intended to ask him some very pointed questions, but he immediately confronted me with this most emphatic and provocative statement. "Except a person be born again," he said, "they cannot see the kingdom of God." Born again, I thought? How can a person be born when they're already old? Can they somehow enter again into their mother's womb? That's not even possible. Well, in the midst of my confusion, he at least provided some degree of clarity. This new birth, he said, was not a physical one, but rather one that is the work of the Spirit of God. Don't be so surprised, he told me. Well, I was surprised. Here I was, a master teacher in Israel, and I struggled to understand what he was talking about, in spite of the fact that everything that he said could be traced to the writings of our traditions. His contention was that although I was physically alive, I was nevertheless spiritually dead. And you know what? I think I knew that. I suppose that's one of the reasons why I sought him out to begin with. There was a new life to be had, and all that was required of me was to believe. Imagine that. Just believe. A simple act of faith. And what was it that he was asking me to believe? This is the way that he put it. He said that God would send his one and only Son, and that he would be lifted up for the world to see, and that if I believed in him, I would have eternal life. You know, I didn't even understand at that time what he fully meant. But that was almost 3 years ago. And since then, I've had many opportunities to observe and to listen to more of what it is that he had to say. And recently, being witness to him being lifted up on that Roman cross, I am convinced beyond doubt of the reality of everything that he was telling me that day. Is Jesus alive? Listen, as one of the few who was responsible for personally laying him in his tomb, and to stand here today and to realize that that tomb is now empty, I can most assuredly say he is. And for me, it is the most powerful confirmation that everything that he told us was indeed the truth. What about you? Do you believe? If not, what is it that hinders you from taking that step of faith? I trust that after hearing this message today, that you would take the time to contemplate and think about how this could apply to your life in a personal manner. Meanwhile, I trust and I pray that God will be with you as you continue on your journey, no matter where it is that he may lead you. Shalom.